If you could have one thing change now, what would it be?
Everyone here is racist. No.
How do you feel about Tommy? What's going to happen if they just stop?
Isolating horrible flag that it's come to represent.
You want to be allowed to care about your country.
Treat us like victims, right?
Biden's done nothing to get the American hostages back.
There's so many problems with this country right now.
People I know will call this is homophobic, racist. What do you think about that?
I'm not racist, and I don't feel like the people here are racist.
Completely taken over.
How do you feel about, our government, the politics? Is there anyone that you feel you can trust in right now? Hi everyone, it is Jack and welcome back to my channel. I am here at the Uniting the Kingdom Freedom Rally, where over 100,000 British people have come to speak their mind about what is going on in this country. While the mainstream media brands them as far-right, football hooligans, I'm here to see exactly what they actually think about these matters and ask them, are they racist? Are they homophobic? Are their concerns valid? Let's go. Hello everyone, I'm here at the London Freedom Rally and this is, what is your name?
James.
Claire.
And Casey.
Genesis.
I have run into broadcaster extraordinaire, Darren Grimes.
Hello, how are you?
And whereabouts do you come from?
I'm British, but I'm from Nigeria originally.
Come from Dunstable.
North London, Enfield.
Enfield?
Same, I'm her daughter.
Both of them. Oh, nice. Okay. Darren, you're obviously here interviewing people too, right? But what has brought you here today?
I think the main reason is what's happening to this country.
The current state of this country.
I guess patriotism, nationalism, and I guess trying to find the positive sides of that as a British citizen.
What's happened in Israel, the way that they protest every weekend, calling for the death of Jews. No one's allowed to say anything. But a day like today, they won't speak about it on mainstream media. People like you will report it, but they won't.
Migration, jobs are being given away to people when we need these jobs.
Have you noticed your area changed at all over the years?
Not so much my area, no. In the village that I live in, I'm originally from Daventry, Northamptonshire. Northampton has changed rapidly. I mean, my dad used to, as a young lad, used to go to Northampton a lot on nights out. He said that the town has completely changed with mass immigration.
I don't recognise North London anymore. Every other shop used to be English, British, Welsh. You walk down the local high street to us, there's no English shops anymore.
Even though I have a demographic as a black woman, whatever, I do feel like I'm in my land and I'm at home. And sometimes when I'm, I guess I don't feel prioritized as a British citizen. Okay, I'm, not white, but I am British. And sometimes I've thought about immigration. I live in South London, so I see a lot of new people moving to the area. Like, they're not really building houses in West London, they're building them in the more dense population. So I know how it's affected my area, and crime's gone up and all that kind of stuff. So I just want to, stand for the country, essentially.
They've completely taken over. Immigration have raided a few of the salons and...
the erosion of our identity, our pride as a person, as people, as patriots. Be told how to think, what we can say, what we can't say. Every time, you can't even hold up an emblem of St. George. You can't hold up a British flag without being told you're far right or racist. And I think, it's a march for patriotism, but it's also a march to show, against government tyranny, against two-tier policing, everything this man Tommy Robinson speaks about on a daily basis. Mass immigration, constant flow of dinghies turning up on our beaches of young fighting age men.
Do you ever feel like because being gay, you're sort of more and more people might assume that you're sort of on that side?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't get that much these days. Like, if I've ever been on dating apps and things like that, I get given very short shrift because they know my views already. That's actually quite useful because you have a sort of censor that, cuts out the crap people from the good ones. So I'm quite fortunate for it, really. But it doesn't bother me at all. Like, people can think what they want, but ultimately, I know that there are a lot of people here who agree with what I do and are grateful for it. That's what gets me out of bed on a morning.
I think that it's very easy for people to say, you know, oh, they're white, they're from the far right, they've got an opinion, they hate gays. I've grown up in North London where people being gay wasn't a shock. I don't know why everyone's making out now that it's a horrific thing. And they use that as another thing. Oh, they're far right, they don't like people of colour, and they also don't like gays. It's rubbish. It's rubbish. There's not really anyone in London that doesn't have a friend, a family, or know someone that's gay. It's not a new thing. It's getting boring that they make it a new thing. It's not a new thing. People need to realise gays have been around for a long time. It's not new.
I'm not racist, and I don't feel like the people here are racist. I think it's just being proud of who you are, and I think in this kind of the new narrative of the world is globalism, and I think national identity is important and should be praised.
Those words, they have a big meaning to them. They have a lot of power to them. You know, racism, homophobia. You go back years ago, it was very prevalent in society. Homophobia, things like that. You look at like the great Alan Turing, committed suicide because he was persecuted because of his sexuality. Things like that. Today, you know, that stuff's no longer around. It's you know, they've taken the relevance out of the word, or it's almost just it's been bandied about and used so flippantly it doesn't mean anything anymore.
How can you possibly feel safe here with no Pride Progress flags?
Well, that's it. There's no Pride Progress flags. There's no Palestinian flags. I mean, you just shudder. You shudder at the lack of progress. Isn't it wonderful? I feel free. I can go about my day away from that sort of isolating, horrible flag that it's come to represent. So, well, frankly, I think the indoctrination and medicalisation of children, which I want absolutely nothing to do with.
Did you take part in the march?
Yep.
How was that?
Brilliant. I literally had fucking hairs coming up on the back of my neck, you know, when we were marching round. You know, I've never seen anything like this. It's almost like a revolution. In fact, I can see a revolution coming about.
Do you have any thoughts on Tommy?
I guess not. I think before there was just, you know, a lot of stereotypes about him being racist and stuff like that. I've learned in the last year how important it is to just read for yourself, and I haven't found him being like particularly racist, or if he is offensive, it's nothing that I don't disagree with, so I'm going to be like, okay, it's offensive, but I agree. So
Tommy, I absolutely love him. I followed him for about 10 years now, right from his early days in the English Defence League. I've only just started, to my shame, I've only just started going to actually being active in attending protests. I think back in his early days of the EDL, you know, the way they conducted themselves, and this isn't a dig at Tommy at all, it was more like the football kind of lag culture kind of thing, and maybe that kind of like made me think, yeah, I don't really want to attend that so much. But there's been a massive shift in ideology and the demographic change in this country in terms of the way people are thinking and the way people are voting and things like that. It's completely changed. I mean, you look at him now, how he's matured in the years. He's almost statesman-like. He's almost become a politician, you know. But yeah, I think he's brilliant, and I think, you know, he's a powerful leader. He's a patriot. I agree with 99.9% things he says. So yeah.
Feel you can speak about your thoughts openly?
Openly, no, but if I'm with my people, if I'm with people I care about, even if we disagree, I'll say. But if it's like the YouTube channel, it's a little bit scarier, but yeah.
Well, I'm very honored for you to speak to me. Lots of important issues. You want to be allowed to care about your country, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Luton, as we well know, I avoid the place like the plague. It's the epicenter of jihadism, you know, terrorism, things like that. You know, it's been completely taken over from, you know, by Islam, as far as I'm concerned.
So you mentioned being branded far right. So I noticed when the last march was on, you know, all the headlines said hooligan march, far right protests. Some of them said Nazis. How does that make you feel?
You know what? It's brought orthodox back. To me, they're just left-wing buzzwords that they like to throw out to try and smear us. I mean, they say we're far right. I mean, look around you. Look at the diversity. Look at the different people that have turned up. You got young, old, different nationalities. Got different flags. I mean, how can you break? There must be 100,000 people here today. The mainstream media are going to brand them all far right.
Lots of far right people.
Yeah.
A lot of people will hear, you know, your very valid concerns and just say everyone here is racist for having that.
It's very easy to say if someone's white and has an opinion about another religion, they're racist. I'm Jewish. I've been watching anti-Semitism my whole life. But what's happening now is different level. It's different level. You can't forever just use the race card. There's plenty of people of other religions here. Got a whole brigade of people from Iran standing against what's happening. I've met people today, majority of them aren't just English. It's just a cop-out. If you're white and have an opinion, you're racist. It's boring. It's a boring line.
How do you feel about, our government, the politics? Is there anyone that you feel you can trust in right now?
In terms of politics, I mean, politicians, I voted Reform, and if I can go as far as saying I trust a politician, maybe Nigel Farage, but even Nigel Farage is branding Tommy Robinson, as far right. He doesn't want to align himself with him, and these people here, who probably brand them as far right, possibly, they're his supporters, So as far as mainstream politicians go, I wouldn't trust them as far as I can throw them.
So Reform is kind of the closest.
It is, yeah. I almost weren't going to vote because I thought, what's the point? But I thought, if you don't vote and you don't have your say, then you don't have the right to bitch and moan about the state of the country. So I put in, I voted, put my ballot paper in and voted Reform. And I'm proud to say I did so.
So you care about the Israel conflict. How do you feel that's being portrayed in the media?
Oh, mainstream media horrendous. But what's been happening in Israel has been happening for years, and putting pictures up of children that have been killed in conflict. It's a war. It's not a tea party. People are going to die. But you cannot invade a country, rape and kill women and children, cutting people's heads off, and not expect anyone to do anything about it. And that's why that situation in Israel is going to carry on. It isn't about a ceasefire, it's about Hamas putting their weapons down. A ceasefire isn't the answer. They've got to stop attacking Israel, because Israel is going to carry on defending itself. And unfortunately, it's going to be an ongoing thing. And people marching here pro-Palestine, they couldn't even point Palestine out on a map. It's embarrassing.
Actually have their voice heard and actually make themselves heard, because they form part of the silent majority, a much maligned majority ever since Brexit, ever since Boris, ever since, you vote time and again for change in this country. It doesn't happen. And I think people feel increasingly disillusioned with the political process. I think that in and of itself is quite dangerous. So any part of sort of political participation that we can give people, I think is entirely necessary. So I'm grateful to the organisers for putting this on. I'm grateful to the people that have spoken to me today. And I dare say the BBC will say that only hundreds of people arrived, that they were all violent bigots and all the rest of it. And I can safely say it was quite the opposite of everything of that.
Well, I personally feel very terrified. And I mean, they still have the hostages, right? So what's going to happen if they just stop?
I think people are forgetting there are still hostages. Probably not a lot of them are going to be alive, but they are hostages and they need to be brought home to their families. I don't understand why mainstream media are so scared to say we need to return the hostages. It's bizarre. Mainstream media will carry on talking about, Trump's supporting Israel. So, Biden's done nothing to get the American hostages back. What has he done for the American hostages? Nothing. Because he doesn't care, because he's got the left agenda. It always comes down to these left, and they're not called extremists, but they are. They're left extremists.
Well, guys, thank you so much. It's been so great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great day. If you could have one thing change now, what would it be?
One thing, there's so many problems with this country right now. It's hard to pinpoint it down to one thing. So if I was to say one thing, I'd say the mass migration, illegal migration, so the constant flow of these dinghies turn up on our shore filled with young military fighting age men, that would stop straight away. They need to be turned around and sent back. Women, children, genuine refugees, welcome in with open arms, 100%. But what we're seeing, these young men coming over, that's not what they are. Many of them are coming from countries that don't have wars, they're not being persecuted. They're using the...
and from France.
And France as well, yeah. Again, some of them travelled across 16 countries to get to this country. I believe under the law of claim refugee status, it's the first country of refuge you get to, and that's you claim refuge to that country. You don't then cross another 16 countries and get on dinghies and cross water to get to Britain to claim refugee status. That's not what it is.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. It's a very valid concern, and we need to be able to express that concern.
You know, I'm very, very enthused by everything that I've heard today and the people that I've met today. And that gives me heart, you know, that gives me cheer. So it's what it's all about as well. There's no point you and I doing stuff on YouTube and just talking to ourselves. Get out there and talk to people. That's the sort of authentic content that people actually want.
Totally agree. I'm glad you like what you hear, and it was great to meet you. So thank you for everything you do.
Absolute pleasure to meet you. Subscribe to this man. Subscribe.
Thank you. Okay, everyone. That was a fun day, and I have to say I feel super unsafe that there are no Pride Progress flags anywhere. It's just a bunch of far-right hooligans. Overall, everyone had very valid concerns. Let me know what you think. Do you have any thoughts about the current political climate in the UK? And what do you think of Tommy Robinson, one of the most controversial political figures in this day in this country? Please like the video, subscribe, and I will see you very soon. Bye.